Welcome back to CBS This Morning. A New York judge is expected to decide today whether to approve a bankruptcy settlement from oxycontin maker Purdue Pharma. Now, the drug company and members of the family that own it, that's the Sacklers, have been blamed by some for helping fuel this country's opioid crisis. It has been linked to more than 500,000 deaths nationwide. Now, under the settlement, the Sacklers and Purdue would pay billions of dollars to states hit hard by opioid addiction. Anna Werner shows us why some people say this settlement does not hold the family to account. Anna, good morning to you. They're making movies about this whole situation.
Right. What a saga. Good morning. The Sackler family, of course, is worth approximately $11 billion with a B. Settlement terms would require the Sackler family and Purdue Pharma to pay out billions, and Purdue Pharma, as we know it, would be dissolved. But for some like Tony LaGreca, who lost his son to opioid addiction, the settlement is simply not enough.
When's the last time you actually,
stood here?
Stood foot on the...
This is the first time since he died.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's hard for Tony LaGreca to visit the high school baseball field where his son Matthew used to play.
Yeah.
These were the good years. These are when he was a teenager.
Teenager, no drugs, nothing.
Matthew LaGreca died from an overdose in 2014. He was 41. LaGreca became addicted to opioids in the 90s when he started taking OxyContin after a football injury. His father wants Sackler family members to pay far more for selling the drug that he says led to his son's death.
The Sacklers, I don't think they feel the pain. They need to feel the pain that these parents feel. I'm just one parent representing thousands.
The Sacklers own OxyContin maker Purdue Pharma. Some members of the family are accused by state attorneys general of intentionally hiding the addictive nature of the drug in an attempt to push sales, an allegation they have long denied.
What you have heard from the press about the Sacklers is almost certainly wrong and highly distorted.
Under the proposed bankruptcy settlement, the Sacklers would pay $4.325 billion over 9 years, settling roughly 3,000 lawsuits. Individual payouts to victims and their families could range from $3,500 to $48,000. As part of the deal, the Sackler family would be granted immunity from any opioid-related lawsuits. 38 states have agreed to the settlement, but 10 states have not. New York Attorney General Letitia James supports the deal. In a July statement, James said, while this deal is not perfect, it gets one of the nation's most harmful drug dealers out of the opioid business once and for all. Connecticut Attorney General William Tong is one of those fighting it.
As far as I can tell, no Sackler will have to sell a boat or a house or a piece of art.
What do you think the other AGs are not seeing that you're seeing?
I think a lot of my colleagues know that this process was stacked from the beginning. They knew that the Sacklers were betting on a broken bankruptcy system that would allow them to use the bankruptcy of the company, Purdue Pharma, to shield themselves. Let's be clear, the Sacklers are not bankrupt.
But LaGreca says no amount of money can make it right.
We will continue to go back to any place that the Sackler name is on a building or in an art museum or in a laboratory and put pressure on that company to get the Sackler name off the building.
And what is your goal with that?
The goal is to just demonize the Sackler family and just make sure if anybody's last name is Sackler that people across the country will always remember what that means and what it stands for.
So you come here how many times a week now?
3 or 4.
He visits Matthew's grave every few days. On the headstone, Matthew's picture and an engraving showing him walking into a sunrise.
And I also bought 3 other plots for, I'm going to be buried right next to him.
So you'll be here with him?
That's the plan.
While we were at the cemetery, LaGreca pointed out other graves to us. They were all Matthew's classmates, he says, who also died from overdoses. Members of the Sackler family who were on Purdue's board have resigned in recent years. A Sackler family representative denied CBS News' request for comment at this time. Purdue Pharma also had no comment. But he told us when we were there that there were several players from his high school and a cheerleader all buried in the cemetery from opioid overdose.
You hear $4.3 billion, and that is a big number, but then $48,000 per family, per victim, that's not a big number when you think about lawsuits. And then also what this doesn't include that's truly priceless is an acknowledgement of guilt on behalf of the Sacklers, and a lot of families want that.
And there's a lot of rage. They want to hear more. They want an apology, and that's why people like Tony LaGreca, he says it's his mission until the day he dies to go after the Sacklers.
Yeah.
And I believe that he will not stop until he does that. I do feel for the other people whose name is Sackler that had nothing to do with this when he says, I'm going to demonize the name. And the Sacklers keep insisting they did nothing wrong, but the numbers seem to show otherwise, though.
And Mr. LaGreca going to that baseball field where
Yeah.
his son used to play
Yeah, right.
and just saying, teenager, when he was happy, no drugs, that's just absolutely.
First time he's been back since his son died. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Feel for
hard to
them.
go there.
And I thank you very much, as always. We appreciate it.